Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
That's your money saying it's time for a McDonald's run. Because with new McValue at McDonald's, you get more than you expect. Like buy a 6-piece McNuggets and add a McChicken for just $1. Your money says let's go. Get more than you expect with new McValue. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Uh-oh. The last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Welcome back to a new episode of the Skating Penguin Network, everyone. It is Monday, April 28th. We are winding down the month of April here, and as always, I am joined by Snail. And normally we would do a little check-in on the weather and the what's going on in our respective areas, but you know we have a packed episode, and we're going to jump right into this, and we're not going to beat around the bush with this. Today was supposed to just be like a general mailbag episode, but at 9 o'clock Eastern time this morning, the Penguins announced that Mike Sullivan and the Pittsburgh Penguins have mutually parted ways. So meaning that Mike Sullivan is no longer the head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, something that neither of us foresaw coming. But yeah, that is done. That is a done deal. I was shocked when I saw it, but Mike Sullivan is out after almost 10 years at the helm of the Pittsburgh Penguins. That means the Penguins will be looking for a head coach for the first time since 2000. Actually, it was just when Mike Johnson was fired, it was just the immediate hiring. So really, it's the first full-on coaching search since the summer of 2014. Almost 11 years for the Penguins here. And Snail, I know you have thoughts. I have thoughts on this. So we're just going to jump right into this.
Let's do it.
Give me your quick mental thoughts on Mike Sullivan being out as Penguins head coach.
Well, the first thing I thought was how funny it is. We talked maybe 2 pods ago, maybe it was the last pod, that I brought up to you, Robbie. I was like, wouldn't it be funny, like this year is the first year going into, like, you know, we saw Sullivan at the Four Nations. We saw him able to kind of integrate those youthful players into like top line minutes, which he's never historically done. I was like, is this the first year we're going into next season confident that Mike Sullivan is the guy? And how ironic would it be that he actually gets canned this year? He didn't get canned. They mutually parted ways. But wow, dude, bombshell to wake up to this morning. Classic. Canada's going to hate this because the Penguins are afterthought and out of the playoffs. They think Sidney Crosby should basically be taken off the power play and be treated as dog water going forward. Everyone's in the playoffs. The Toronto Maple Leafs are where they're at. And here Dubas is making waves in the news with the firing of Mike Sullivan. They're going to be furious, but got a lot to talk about with this. So many thoughts are swirling in my head. I feel like I'm trying to connect dots and figure out who's next. But those were my initial thoughts, Robbie. And like I said, when we first opened our StreamYard window, first podcast post Sullivan era, yes. I got to know as a Pittsburgher and someone who is in Pittsburgh, you've seen a lot more coaches that I have come and go during the Penguins, since you were born in the late 80s.
89, yeah, right at the end
89.
of 89. Yeah.
What were your thoughts seeing two-time Stanley Cup champion Mike Sullivan no longer going to be behind the bench in Pittsburgh?
So my initial thoughts were, I almost, it's one of those things where he's been there so long. I genuinely didn't know if he was ever going to leave unless it was on his own accord. Did you say that you think it was more of a firing than a mutual parting of ways? Is that what you said, or?
Oh no, that's not what I was meaning. I think it was Dubas and him probably had a conversation, and Sullivan was like, something was said. I think Dubas said this is the plan for next year. Something must have been said, and Sullivan was like, I would like to politely step away.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of my takeaway as well. I don't know. It kind of seemed like Dubas wasn't dead set on bringing him back. He was going to be more of like you said, a mutual decision. But I don't think Dubas was going to lobby a hard case if Sullivan decided that it was time to take a different path from the Penguins. Again, the season ended only 10 days ago for the Penguins, so things are really. It's felt like a while, but it really hasn't been that long. I mean, the Penguins are still kind of sorting out their offseason. But yeah, so I've seen quite a few Penguins coaches in my time, Sullivan being by far the longest tenured. And in terms of wins, cups, all that, he is on paper, the most successful coach in Penguins history. Now, Scotty Bowman was only here for 2 seasons. Scotty Bowman's probably the best coach to ever coach the Penguins. But in terms of longevity in Pittsburgh, I think Sullivan has to be that guy. He is one of only 3 coaches in Pittsburgh sports history to win multiple championships.
That's a rich history too.
Yeah, very. Only the 3rd coach in Pittsburgh sports history to win multiple championships with the team they coached. The only Penguins coach to win multiple championships himself. Before that, it had always been one before Sullivan came in and won back-to-back. But the Penguins, the Penguins are kind of at a turning point now, a kind of a new era of Penguins hockey in more ways than one. We obviously talk about the end of the 87-71 era, but this is the end of a decade of pretty much coaching stability, which is pretty impressive in terms of how long coaches last in the NHL. I think I saw something today was the average coaching lifespan for an NHL coach is 2.1 seasons with one team.
That's Cooper, nothing.
John Cooper and Mike Sullivan have exceeded those numbers. And really, since Sullivan became the Penguins coach, every team but the Tampa Bay Lightning have replaced their head coach in that time period.
Bednar is probably close, right?
Bednar is, I believe, 2 seasons short of
2. Okay.
I believe he was 2 seasons short, but you had 2 in that time period. You had 2 new teams come into the NHL, and they have changed coaches multiple times in that period. Mike Sullivan.
Dan Bylsma's out up here in Seattle.
Yeah, the Kraken are 3 years old or 4 years old, one of the two, and already going to be going on their 3rd coach in the NHL. You have Vegas went through a few coaches before landing on.
What did they have? They had Gerard Gallant, and then they had
DeBoer.
Oh, they did have DeBoer for a second there, and now they've got
Bruce Cassidy.
So
so, I mean, look at all there's just not long shelf lives in the NHL, and Sullivan far exceeded the average. I think sometimes they might be teams might be a little too quick to pull the trigger on some of these moves, but for the Penguins, I think we talked about it. We said that they were going to keep Sullivan. We all kind of were settled on that they were going to, but I think what Kyle Dubas said in his press conference was 2 things can be true at once. You can have an absolutely great coach, and it can be time for a change. And
totally. But Robbie, that's what we've been saying.
Yeah, that's what everybody's been saying. Nothing that happens takes away from anything Mike Sullivan did in Pittsburgh.
Dude, Sullivan was never going to be run out of town with pitchforks saying, get the hell out of here. No. Sullivan, even as frustrating as it's been watching the Penguins kind of slowly decline over the last few years, we've never said Sullivan is a bad coach.
No.
It's just not the right time for him. And I would be happy to see him have success elsewhere, hopefully in the West.
Yeah.
But
let's not. Yeah, we'll talk about possible destinations for him here in a little bit. But I mean, you saw it with the Four Nations. I mean, that was a good hockey team, and Sullivan coached a really good tournament, I thought.
Oh, I mean, they were the favorite, I thought.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to see much different come the Olympics next year. I think it's going to be a good team, and he's going to coach well. It's just in Pittsburgh, the voice gets old, it gets stale, and you're ready for a change. Dubas said he did alert Sidney Crosby to this. This was apparently decided yesterday. The fact that this didn't leak out at all, given how the insiders work the phones and stuff, is pretty impressive. I was completely shocked when I saw the news pop up. I had to do like a couple double takes to really hit me. But no, the Penguins are right now have no head coach. Dubas did talk to the media, and Dubas kind of gave you the impression that as much he thanked Mike Sullivan. Obviously, Sullivan will go down. Again, it's going to be very hard for anyone to ever top what Sullivan has done as head coach. I mean, if the next head coach tops Sullivan, then imagine how happy we're going to be 10 years from now thinking about that. So, Dubas kind of laid it out there like, hey, he's a great coach, but you need to change sometimes. A lot of great coaches in the NHL that are in the Hall of Fame right now coached multiple different teams. You think about Pat Burns, Pat Quinn, Joel Quenneville has coached multiple different teams.
Sutter.
Yeah, Brent Sutter. Daryl Sutter. Yeah, Brent's it. Yeah.
There's a million Sutters. I'm trying to think. Guy that won a cup with, or Tortorella as well. Tortorella's been all over the place. Laviolette has a cup and has been all over the place. Bruce Boudreau, great head coach, been all over the place. These guys have been, hockey coaches get kind of swapped around. There's the coaching carousel, as we all talk about in NHL. It seems to be worse than most leagues, but hey, it's a new era of Penguins hockey in more ways than one, and I'm going to be very interested to see what they do from here. But as of right now, the initial shock is worn off, but I think that it's the right decision. I think that we were both set on the Penguins bringing Sullivan back, but now that it's done, I think that it's a little bit of a breathe easy kind of moment. Okay, we can kind of start anew here. Absolutely. It's a new era. It's exciting. It's time too. Like I think next year going into the year, if you think about it, with where the Penguins are at in their retooling or just where the team is at standings wise, if the team got out to a bad start, it's really early to start the whole fire Sullivan things before another potential long year. But if they get out to a hot start, I mean, do you want Sullivan coaching like it's a year to win the cup when you've got all these young players? No, you need to develop these guys and let them get their reps, and they need to hit the bumps and bruises along the way. I agree with you totally, Robbie. Just where the Penguins are at, it was time. I was okay with him coming back. I think I'd come to the conclusion he was going to be Mike Tomlin 2.0, and he would just be with Pittsburgh Penguins for basically ever. But yeah, interesting stuff. Dubas, what I'm curious about is, we'll get into like potential coaching hires or whatever. I wish to be a fly on the wall as to like what it was that made them decide to part ways. Maybe it was just what we talked about. It's the writings on the wall. Sullivan's like, I'm a win now guy.
Yeah.
There are a lot of teams that will throw just briefcases of cash at me, and I can go potentially win another cup. Coaches aren't getting any younger either. If you think about players, they're just like a player. They're not getting any younger. They want success. I think, part of me wonders a little bit is did Dubas say we're going for McKenna? We're going for Gavin McKenna next year? And Sullivan was like, check, please. I doubt that was the case.
Yeah.
But those are the things I'm wondering. I'm like, what did he say? what about you, Robbie? Do you have what's your theory on kind of, is there no mystery, no theory? It's just the writing's been on the wall, or do you think that maybe the Penguins, this is part of the plan they're executing here and Sullivan wanted no part of it?
I think it's part of the plan, more so than anything. I think Dubas would have been okay with bringing him back, but in the end, I don't think, again, like I said, I don't think Dubas made a strong pitch to come back again. I don't think this team is going to go full on tank next season. But like you said, Mike Sullivan is 57. There is an age. Coaches, obviously, you can coach into your 60s and 70s. But again, eventually the game does start to pass you by a little bit. You lose the innovation. It just becomes a lot more difficult. Again, he has grandkids now. He's kind of at that age now where I don't want to say he's obviously going to get a new job here. I mean, it would not be shocking to me if we are talking about Mike Sullivan having a new job by the end of the week, if that long.
I mean, Robbie, there's someone's drawing up a contract right now.
I think the contracts have probably been for some teams have probably been drawn up for months or years now.
Years.
I mean, now that we're talking about, we might as well just dive into it. The obvious destination sounds like New York.
Which New York?
The Rangers.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to throw wads of money at him. And another destination that really sticks out because of the connections and ties, and they're going to need a coach too, is the Boston Bruins.
Chuck McAvoy's there. He has a grandson in Boston. His daughter lives in Boston.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one that sticks out to me more than any of them. Those two. I saw somebody mention Anaheim thrown around with their young core.
Yeah.
Those are the big three I've seen, mostly Boston and New York. But Mike Sullivan's going to be coaching in the NHL next year. It just depends on where. And if it's Boston or New York, it's going to be a problem for the Penguins. But that is the nature of a great coach, just ready for a change.
I mean, with Sullivan's report card, I guess you could say, or Sullivan's just, as the kids say, his aura, everything like that. I mean, not to be a contrarian here, Robbie, but dude, there's a team in the playoffs playing right now that might fire their coach as soon as they get bounced, and they will throw wads of cash at him too. Could you see, I mean, we'll get to this later because playoffs have been really interesting. I can't believe that that Kings coach challenged that goal. I thought that the Oilers were going to get swept, but I mean, you're telling me that if the Oilers did indeed get swept or something like that and Sullivan's available, you don't think that someone would be from the Oilers organization wouldn't be on the horn immediately with Sullivan, seeing if he could get them over the hump?
I would tell you what I would do. And this series, we'll talk a little more in depth too, because I'm still leaning. I picked Dallas to win their series, and it is 2-2. Dallas hasn't led a second in this series, and they have 2 wins.
Crazy.
But let me tell you, Mike Sullivan with that Dallas roster, I mean, that is something. Again, if they get bounced in the first round, man, do you just at some point you just make the move? I mean, you saw what St. Louis did this year. Jim Montgomery was fired in Boston. They literally fired a guy they just hired, and we're
the time is now.
Yeah, he said and they didn't lie about it. They were like, "Hey, it was just an opportunity that we couldn't pass up." That's really what it was. I think he called
Montgomery. I think he actually called him like a piece of steak. He's like, "When I see a good steak, I like to eat it."
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Armstrong.
Yeah, Doug Armstrong was basically, again, old hockey guy, so he probably got all the cliches up his sleeve there. He's pretty much like, we couldn't not do it. We had to do it, and you look at the run they went on, and that was kind of a running kind of anecdote that we had going. Maybe we'll see the Penguins fire Sullivan and the Bruins fire Montgomery, and they just swap places.
They just swap,
Yeah, but obviously not happening. But I do want to, now that we are still on this, the Penguins have a massive opportunity here to really go out and get a big name. I don't think it's going to be anybody in Pittsburgh. Dubas did say during his press conference that Mike Vellucci his contract is over. He is free to seek employment elsewhere. Andy Chiodo, the goaltending coach, is also without a contract and is free to seek employment elsewhere. So that I think was happening either way. Mike Bellucci has been interviewed before for head coaching positions. I don't think he'll be in Pittsburgh. I think Dubas, this is like you think about how he's kind of built his network out here. This is kind of like the last step of getting a guy that he can pick. He's built out his hockey ops department. He built out his front office. Now this is kind of where he can build out. He built out his scouting department. Now he can build out his coaching staff here. It makes me think that we're going to see someone from outside the system. They did say that, I do believe he said that Kurt McDonald, the Penguins AHL coach, he wants to see him develop more in the minors, so he is not going to be put under consideration. But if it's a true wide open race and they're not going to just do the coaching carousel, pick a guy, just kind of rotate those 7 or 8 guys around, I think the door is wide open. And one name you mentioned, David Carl.
Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and talk about the elephant in the room. David Carl is
my age, and
that's crazy.
He's led the World
Him and
Juniors.
Sidney Crosby went to school together practically.
Basically, he would literally be younger than some of the guys he's coaching by a couple years too, not just like a couple months or anything. Like literally a couple years. But David Carl, who's led the United States juniors team to consecutive World Junior Championships, he has coached Rucker McGroarty in that group. He was I believe McGroarty was even a captain.
He was
for David Carl in 2024.
Gold medal captain.
What's that?
They won the gold medal with him as captain.
Yeah, they did. And Carl just turned down the
Bruins, right?
Chicago. I believe he turned down the Chicago job too.
Okay.
You don't know if maybe something was said in those back channels, and he would maybe take a look at the Penguins. It's not every day you get to coach Sidney Crosby. Is that what you were going to say?
No, he's coming to Pittsburgh. I think the more we talk about it, I think he's coming to Pittsburgh because we know David Carl, he's got a sweet, sweet life with the life he's living.
Oh,
coaching.
Dude, he has the best job in hockey.
He doesn't need to come to the NHL. He doesn't need to. But I think that because of where the Penguins are at, and I keep saying that, I don't know how else to word it, Robbie. With the Penguins, with their aging stars becoming, they're going to be phasing out of the league inevitably. And you've got these young guys, like you mentioned, Rutger McGroarty, who he's familiar with, all these young studs that they've got in the pipeline. Much like management trusted Kyle Dubas, they gave Kyle Dubas a long contract and said, you're going to hit bumps in the road, but you're going to build out this organization and we're going to give you time to do that. And Dubas didn't need to take a job right away, but he actually, within a week of getting fired by the Leafs and saying he's not looking employment, you won't see me pop up anywhere, is what he said. He said like a week later, Pittsburgh feels like home. And, when you get paid that much, of course, anywhere could probably feel like home if you got the right amount of money.
Yeah.
But with David Carl and Robbie, I want to let you, I just feel like I have this like ADD, Brian. I need to get this off my chest. I feel like Dubas is going to invite David Carl out. He's going to take him to Permanis. He's going to show him around the city. He's going to show him the mighty Allegheny River. He's going to show him all the sweet spots and say, if we can get you out of it's Denver, right? David Carl?
Yeah.
If we can get you out of Denver, we're going to give you like a 5-year contract and you can miss the playoffs for as many years as you need, because we want you to come in and we want you to implement your structure with this organization. We want to build a culture with you, and we want to give you time to kind of mentor these kids. And it's going to take time to build that. So I think he would offer David Carl, look, this is where my kids go to school. This is the neighborhoods I live in. Pittsburgh's a sweet place. Look at all these former Penguins players and management guys. They all stick around. It's a great place to raise a family. And you can come in here and you can just take your time getting used to the NHL. And you're not going to get fired in 3 years if we don't win a Stanley Cup.
No, I think the next coach, if it's David Carl, whoever else, the window is going to be long. The leash is going to be very long. This isn't a come in 1 year, be bad, we're going to fire you, a kind of a holdover coach. Kyle Dubas, he has a plan, and he's sticking to that plan. The next coach is going to be the guy that hopefully gets them back to contending, still in the Sidney Crosby era. And David Carl is the guy that you want to be the team that is serious about all this. That's the guy you go get. 35 years old, brother played in the NHL. He went to Shattuck St. Mary's where Crosby went. He's only, like I said, he's an American coach. He's had great success in Denver. I mean, he's won multiple national championships, multiple World Juniors. The resume is all there. So that is the big name. A bunch of other names. You're going to hear about a million different names, obviously, come out of this. I know the Hershey head coach, who's in the Capital system, is highly sought after. He's led them to consecutive Calder trophies, has them on the path for possibly another. Yeah, they are playing. They have a tremendous system down there.
They could be in the NHL.
Yeah, they're very
you can expand and have Hershey, Pennsylvania be the third Keystone State team.
They're a very, very good hockey team in Hershey right now. One name that was mentioned that is going to be mentioned until a hire is made is Rick Tocchet, out of currently the Vancouver Canucks head coach.
Oh yeah, God, that would be honestly, like, I love Rick Tocchet. Like, I am such a fan of him, like the way he played. But I know in my heart of hearts that this isn't the situation he wants to probably come into.
I'd say probably not. Another name that you may hear, Bruce Boudreau. We've mentioned that as a possibility in the past. Is this a situation? I really think this is a situation for a young first-time coach.
Totally.
I mean, you're going to get to sit behind the bench. You're coaching Crosby, Malkin for at least a year. But then you look at the young guys, McGroarty, Koivunen, Murashov, all Brunicky, all these guys that are there waiting. So I'm very, very excited and interested to see where the Penguins kind of go from here, because it's a big hire for Dubas to make, and he seems like the kind of guy that's ready to get his coaching staff in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, there's I saw Joel Ward. Remember Joel Ward?
Yeah.
Capital, San Jose Shark. I saw he's coaching, and his name was thrown out there as, a potential NHL head coach. I don't know anything about his kind of record in coaching. I don't know Joel Ward was a great hockey player. I think he's a smart hockey player. I think he kind of came off as the type of guy who would probably be a decent coach. I'm surprised you didn't mention who I would assume, Robbie, is maybe one of your favorite candidates to get hired. Peter Laviolette, maybe David Quinn, Claude Julien.
You're going to hear a bunch of different names in the process here.
How mad would you be if Peter Laviolette was named as the head coach?
I can't. There's just certain guys that it would, even if no, I just can't do certain guys right now. Tortorella could not do.
What about Guy Boucher?
Guy Boucher. When's the last time he played? When's the last time he coached?
I think the last time he was a head coach was when Kunitz hit a knuckle puck over Anderson's shoulder. And
I forgot. Okay, yeah, a guy that kind of looks like a Bond villain.
He does look like a Bond villain.
Yeah, I forgot all about him. He was highly touted coming out of June. I think he came right from juniors.
I think he did.
He was highly touted. What if
he might have been in Tampa for a second as an assistant too?
He was, I think. What if? Oh shoot, who was it? Oh gosh, I can't remember who I'm trying to think of now. What if? Oh my gosh. Oh geez, I can't think of who the team. Oh, I forget who the team was that I was thinking of. I had it on my tongue, and now it's gone. But no, Joel Ward is currently an assistant in Vegas, so he is coaching in the professional ranks right now.
In the AHL?
No, I think he is currently with the.
With the Golden Knights?
Yeah, he was the assistant coach for the Henderson Silver Knights. On July 12th, 2023, he was promoted to assistant coach of the Vegas Golden Knights.
Dang, good for him.
Yeah. So
what about my prophecy of Matt Cook maybe getting a look?
I don't know. I don't know what Matt Cook's been up to since the Newfoundland team folded. He was considered an up-and-comer through the ranks, but after that team folded, I'm not quite sure whatever happened to old Matty Cook since he no longer had a job.
I saw Mark Savard's like the power play coach for the Maple Leafs, but I think he doesn't have a contract next year. What if you had Matt Cook as the head coach and Mark Savard as the power play coach?
I don't necessarily see that working out.
For Penguins fans, can you explain why maybe you don't see that happening? Maybe new Penguins fans?
Oh, yeah. For new Penguins fans back in 2010, I believe it was.
Was it 2010?
I think it was 2010. Mark Savard was cutting across the ice at the old Mellon Arena, and Matt Cook blindsided him. Knocked him literally unconscious on the ice. He had to be stretchered off. And basically, Mark Savard's career was never really the same after that.
He ended his career.
Yeah, he did try to come back. He did take a couple other hits, but he was never at all the same after that, once again, unfortunately. So, I was thinking, what if with Lou Lamoriello out in New York, the Penguins go and get Patrick Waugh?
I couldn't do it. Patrick Waugh. I would take him as the goalie coach.
That's fair.
Maybe.
That's fair.
But,
it won't happen, but would you take Jared Bednar?
The Colorado Avalanche coach?
Yeah. If they just like, hey, we're going to trade for him and pay him a bunch of money.
Yeah, I would. I mean, he's a younger coach. He's obviously a great coach. I just feel like, yeah, that would be so weird because Nate McKinnon would be like, I'm trying to get Sid over here for so long. And I'm getting everything but Sid.
He demands to come to Pittsburgh at that point.
Yeah, at some point he just says, I've had enough of it here. I just need to go play a couple years with Sid.
Absolutely. But yeah. So yeah, not going to spend, I mean, obviously the big news of the day of Mike Sullivan is out as coach with the Penguins. Kyle Dubas said a search will begin immediately.
What about Jay Woodcroft? How do we feel about him now that he's been out of the league?
Woodcroft was a name that popped up a few times I saw in various articles today. Woodcroft was a name that we talked about being the new power play coach for the Penguins last offseason after Todd Reirden was fired. But Woodcroft, he's a good coach. He just kind of always got put in a bad situation.
Yeah.
So Woodcroft is a guy that, while it would not move the needle in terms of excitement, like one of the young guns we mentioned, I think that's a name that is definitely going to get at least discussed at some point because he's looking to get back in the NHL. It just never materialized, and he kind of got he never was really in a great position to succeed. Whereas Pittsburgh would, I think, be a little more stable for a guy who is by all means considered a good coach around the league.
Yeah, I'd love to see. It's tough because like it's not like we're building. It's not like you're in your head building like an imaginary roster with coaching staff where it's like, yeah, I'd take Bruce Boudreau as the power play coach. I'd take Guy Boucher maybe as like the defensive coach, penalty kill coach, and then I want this guy as the head coach. Coaches come in and they build out their coaching staff. But I'm such a fan of Bruce Boudreau. I think that guy's such a great like hockey lifer. If you ever listen to his interviews or him talk or on panels and stuff, he's got such a great personality and attitude. And man, does he love hockey. Like he loves the game. Like still, like I think he just watches hockey all the time when he's not on a panel or something.
Yeah.
And he's never won he's never won the cup as a coach, but like I wouldn't necessarily mind him, but just with his age and everything, it's like, God, could you get him in a power play role? Jay Woodcroft as a power play coach, that'd be cool. What about where are you at with David Quinn?
I don't think Quinn's the right answer at all. I think they got to stay as far away from that as possible.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
There are people out there all across the country pushing boundaries to grow the game of golf. Like champion speed golfer Lauren Cupp, who plays faster than anyone else. And Will Lowry, whose work in the golf community inspires more kids to get into the game. As a champion partner of the Masters, Bank of America supports everyone determined to find out what's possible in golf and in life. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC, copyright 2025, Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
Sergeant and Mr. Smith, you're going to love this house.
Bunk beds in a closet?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
You're the perfect blend of elegance and style, and your ride should be no different. The 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid meets all your needs, from business to brunch and everywhere in between. With head-turning details like a sleek front end, plus stylish interior, and an available 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and seamless tech integration. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more about the new 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid.
I appreciate what he did come in and help do with like the power play and stuff. But dude, if he gets announced as the Penguins head coach, I'm hopefully Sullivan takes him wherever the hell he's going, and they don't even have to speculate on him. But man, crazy times, honestly, and it'll be interesting to see. Would you say it's safe to say, Robbie, whoever the with this head coaching pick, it will kind of say where the Penguins are headed as far as expectations for next year?
Yeah, absolutely.
If they hire, let's say, David Carl, they pull a rabbit out of their rear end and pull him away from Denver. If they're picking up a guy like David Carl, it's probably safe to say that the Penguins are looking at maybe another long year next year.
Yeah, I think if it's a young coach like that with a long contract, it's like, hey, listen, we're not going to be ready next year. But in 2 years, like, yeah, you're coming in with no real pressure. You're kind of just out there getting your feet wet. You obviously want to show some progress throughout the season.
Sure.
But I think year 2 and year 3 is when it starts to get a little more serious. So, yeah, I could definitely see a guy coming in, a young guy on a 4 or 5 year contract being like, hey, okay, here's the plan. Next year, let's just try to grow some of these kids, play some good hockey from time to time. But year 2 and year 3 is when we're really going to start putting the pedal in the metal about getting serious about winning hockey games and making the playoffs.
Absolutely. Yeah. It'll be really interesting to see, like I said. So as far as Penguins chatter goes, I don't know if you have any more thoughts on the coaching firing and all that.
Not really right now. I mean, we'll see how what comes out in the next few days and reassess where we need to. But no, I think we pretty much covered everything on the Sullivan front there.
You want to jump into some playoff chatter? I mean, we don't have to go. Or we had some maybe mailbag questions. You take it from here. I'm ready for whatever.
Okay, let's hit up the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll run through these series real quick before we get into the mailbag here. So as we record this on Monday, the 28th of the series on the in the playoffs in the bracket, 7 of the 8 series have played 4 games. And obviously the Tampa Bay Florida series plays game 4 here on Monday night. So when you listen to this on Tuesday, you will see what that series is. But as we record this, every series in the West is tied to 2 games apiece. St. Louis storms all the way back in the 2 games in St. Louis.
What is up with Hellebuck?
Playoff Hellebuck. I don't know. He's 1-9 or 1-8 in his last 9 playoff games on the road. I believe he's been pulled in like the last 3 or something like that.
Yeah, he got pulled again last game.
He got pulled in both games in St. Louis. He's given up, I think, at least 4 goals. It's some absurd stat there, but I don't know. They completely melted down in these 2 games. They look like a completely different team. St. Louis looks like the team that won the President's Trophy in these 2 games, and just a very ugly showing from Winnipeg but they are back home for Game 5, and they're going to need to take control here at some point because you end up you lose Game 5, you head back to St. Louis down, you're in deep trouble. And yeah, I don't even know how many times Winnipeg lost 3 in a row this year, so it'll be definitely a test of their will there. So.
And you don't want to get Bennington fired up for a must-win scenario. Like you don't want that smoke with their tale of 2 goaltenders for sure. You got one guy who dominates during the regular season, can't stop anything in the playoffs. Then you have Bennington, who's kind of a mixed bag during the regular season, but when he gets into playoff mode, that's the last goalie I think in this entire playoffs you want to be up against when it matters.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that as well. Obviously, Bennington, pressure situations, he comes alive, and you're definitely getting to the point now where you can face one of those.
Yeah, I agree.
Dallas, Colorado, kind of touched on this one earlier.
Weird
Dallas
series, man.
Very weird series. Dallas has not led for a single second in this series, but they have 2 wins, courtesy overtime wins in games 2 and 3. The other games 1 and 4 have been pretty much blowouts for the Avalanche, especially Game 4. Big Gabe Landeskog with a goal in Game 4, and that building was absolutely electric. And not only did that tie the series, that was one of the most thorough ass kickings I've seen in a playoff game, and it almost felt like the entire vibes for that series changed in Colorado's win in Game 4.
Oh, yeah. They were dominant. They were rolling 4 lines, all the cliches you hear. Cale Makar is just so every time I watch that guy play hockey, he's just I don't think you're supposed to be able. It's like when people say a UAP or a UFO nowadays, they're like, that shouldn't be moving like that. Yeah. That's how I feel watching Cale Makar. I'm like, he shouldn't be able to move like that. When Landeskog scored that goal, though, I mean, the game was over already. I thought by the time he scored, they were piling on at that point.
Yeah.
But dude, I was going crazy in my living room. I was like, "Oh my god!" And then my partner, she was like, "Well, what happened?" I was like, basically having to be like, that meme where there's like a guy with a beer in the stadium, like talking to a girl into his ear. And I was like, you don't understand. The last time he was on the ice was for the lifting the Stanley Cup like 3 years ago, and he had to have a ligament like replacement deal. It was a whole thing. So. Yeah. I saw that and lost my mind. But, dude, the swing after that game, you have to think that Dallas has to feel lucky that they got 2 wins out of this series, because I think it's going to be the fact that they haven't led at all makes me think that crazy. This series is probably over, but nothing's over in the NHL playoffs until
I think that Game 5 for Dallas back at home is as close, which is, so you'll know by the time you listen to this on Tuesday how this played out, is as close to a must-win, non-must-win game that Dallas is going to play at any point. They're beat up. They have no Jason Robertson. They have no Mira Heiskanen. Jake Ottinger stopped that game the other night from being about 15-0.
Jake Ottinger's a good goalie. Like,
Dallas is a good hockey team. It's just right now, we kind of said it before, Colorado's rolling, and when they're playing like this, they are nearly impossible to stop.
100%. Yeah, I think, like you said, must win for Dallas. Otherwise, it's probably curtains. No, when you got Gabe Landeskog scoring goals again, good luck.
One of the more exciting series of this playoffs, the Vegas Golden Knights and Minnesota Wild are tied at 2 apiece. They have split the games in Vegas and Minnesota. Vegas won Game 4, a game they pretty much it was very, very crucial. They won that hockey game. They won that in overtime. So they go back home tied 2-2. A very good series this has been. Minnesota, everybody was kind of just writing them off, but we kind of said like they were a great team before they got just decimated by injuries, and they're showing it. Vegas is a good hockey team as well. This series I think has 3 games left.
Oh, dude, yeah. It's weird because with Vegas, you don't really know what team you're going to get. I've seen a tale of like 2 tales of one team.
Yeah.
There have been games that they've looked oddly uninvigorated and maybe kind of easy to push around. And then you've had them research, like they can come back and dominate a game. Minnesota plays a consistent, just pain in the rear end style. They seem like a nightmare to play against. You've got Matt Boldy, who's really, I mean, he doesn't need a coming out party. We know the kid's a stud, but he's really showing off, why he was a highly touted prospect and a great player. Matt Zuccarello is showing he's still got, gas left in the tank. That Zeev Buyem kid who was in college, they threw him to the Wolves right away, just put him right out there. And it seems he's gotten more comfortable, because the first game I thought he looked a little bit, maybe a little bit out of his comfort zone, obviously, but by the last game I watched of them, he fit right in. That Gustafson, man, the Penguins had that Gustafson guy in the goaltender in their system.
Yep.
And look what he's doing right now. Him and Fleury, couple of ex-Penguins playing for the Wild. I don't know. This one, I think I still have it going 7.
Yeah, I just feel like this is a series that's going to go 7. Just has that feel.
Would you be shocked if Vegas puts their hand up, fires Bruce Cassidy to hire Sullivan too? Like, could you see them as a team?
I mean, man, they're only 2. Depends on how this playoff ends. I think if they would get bounced in the first round, I would not be shocked. And if Bruce Cassidy would be on the market, I would not say no to him coming to Pittsburgh for an interview.
I'm not sure how I feel about Bruce Cassidy yet after all this time. I know he's had success, but anyways, let's move on to the next series.
Maybe now we went from one of the best series in the playoffs, maybe the dumbest series of this first round.
So dumb.
For 85% of this series, there's been a better team, and that's the LA Kings. However, from the third period on, the Edmonton Oilers have turned on God mode. A part of that is because the Oilers are that good, and they just spam Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
The other part is the Kings just completely take their foot off the pedal.
Yeah, what is with that?
I don't know. But Game 3 was perhaps the peak of the stupidness of this series. The Kings are up 4-3. Evander Kane ties the game. Originally, a call to no goal on the ice. Replay clearly showed that he did kick it, but Darcy Kemper's leg, this is one time where you wish the goalie would just not be in the correct position. Darcy Kemper's leg stopped the puck, and then Evander Kane kicked it or knocked it in with a stick, making a good goal. That's all fine and dandy. That happens. You score. There's 6.5 minutes left or whatever. Then the LA Kings coach decides to challenge for goaltender interference on, again, goaltender interference can be a gray area, but when I watched the replay, I said, if this gets overturned, it's fixed, because there's no way that this is getting overturned. And then as we expected, the goal is upheld. Edmonton gets a power play out of the whole deal. 10 seconds later, Bouchard scores what turns out to be the game winner and gives Edmonton all the life they need. And then on Game 4, LA is up 3-1 in the third period. They give up one goal, and then they give up a tying goal with about 30 seconds left to Evan Bouchard. And then the Oilers just dominate the overtime. They get a late power play, Leon Draisaitl in overtime. This series is 2-2, and
it shouldn't be.
No, it should be at worst 3-1 for the Kings.
This was the only sweep I had. When Coach Hiller challenged that, I was like, what are you doing right now? Why would you risk the power play for the Oilers? If they're going to make any hay on this series, it's on the power play, and you gifted them one. Who told them to do that?
I understand the Kings penalty kill is very good, very strong. At that point, all the momentum is in Edmonton's favor. You cannot put those big guns in that position, and they burned them almost immediately, and they never recovered. And at worst, like I said, at worst it should be 3-1. Very well could have been a 4-game sweep. But yeah, we go back to LA 2-2. I still like the Kings in this series, because at some point, I think Edmonton's going to outdumb them at some point, because Edmonton has a tendency to do that. Edmonton is still, without Matthias Ekholm, it's just, they're not that good. They're not that deep. They just are not that good.
No.
And at some point, Picard or Stuart Skinner is going to have another meltdown moment. I still think the Kings are the better team, but a fantastically dumb series from these two teams.
Absolutely. Dumb is a great word to describe it. But I still think that maybe I'm silly for thinking this, but LA should have this in the bag, but they need to stop sitting back so much.
They do.
and just letting the Oilers do what they love to do and just take it to them and take it to the net. They've got Corey Perry and they call him Shaq Hyman now.
Yeah.
Two guys that love to just be around the crease. And then you have McDavid who can go on God mode at any given moment and dangle four guys and put it on someone's tape. And you got Leon Draisaitl, who's just one of the best players in the league. Like, it's just too much firepower. Yeah. They can overwhelm so easy. So let's hope that the Kings figure this one out, because I mean, my sweep is already blown on this, but like, I'd at least like to think that I know what I'm talking about with the Kings being the better team this year.
Absolutely. So shifting to the East here real quick, Toronto up 3-1 again. Three of these series are 3-1. The other one we're still waiting on to game 4, but Toronto up 3-1, 3 straight overtime games in this series. Game 2 and 3, Toronto wins in overtime. Game 4, Ottawa has to win. They kill off a 4-minute power play in overtime here to stay alive.
Such a Toronto thing to have happen.
Very Toronto. It would be very, very funny. I cannot stress how funny it would be if Ottawa somehow fights back and wins this series.
Let's just say Ottawa could do something really funny.
Ottawa has a chance to do the funniest thing you've ever seen happen in the NHL. It would be they might have to fold the franchise.
Dude, if that happened, like, we're far away from that. But if Ottawa wins their next game,
yeah. If this goes back to Ottawa for Game 6, you just know that every Toronto fan is going to be absolutely just the most nervous person you've ever met.
I mean, how many times are you going to see the Leonardo DiCaprio gif where he's like,
yeah,
from whatever that movie was, dude? It would be too good.
It would be very good. But yeah, Jake Sanderson wins Game 4 in overtime to keep the Senators alive. But heading to Tampa or to Florida here, the Battle of Florida. Florida won the first 2 games in Tampa. Tampa returns the favor at least in Game 3 to stay alive in this series for the most part. Jake Gensel continues to score at a historic pace in the postseason. A long way to go in this series as well. Obviously, by the time you listen to this tomorrow morning, could be singing a different tune. But Tampa wasn't going to just lay over and die. I think we got at least 6 games in this series, if not 7.
It's going to be a slobber knocker. Probably trading blows.
I mean, you've had Brandon Hagel suspended for nearly killing Sasha Barkov. Matthew Tkachuk nearly killed Jake Gensel.
The coaches are chirping each other.
It's going to be, they're like passively aggressively doing it too. They're not doing it to each other like in person. It's like through the media, which kind of makes it funnier in a way.
It does. It makes you want to watch the post game now.
Yeah, true. So that series is 2-1, but that will change by the time you listen to this, with Game 4 being on Monday night. So in the Metro side here, we have Washington gets a crucial win in Montreal. That building was absolutely bumping, but the entire series and at least Game 4 changed on Tom Wilson. A clean hit in the neutral zone. The game completely flipped after that. Montreal had a lead in the third period in this one, but Washington gets Game 4 after the Canadiens take Game 3. It's 3-1 going back to Washington, and the Canadiens are fun. They've kept it close, but 3 in a row against this Washington team is going to be tough with the inexperience on Montreal's side.
How the hell did Logan Thompson come back from that?
I don't know. I don't know how Logan Thompson came back. The fact that he came back at all was pretty impressive after the hit he took. But yeah, that was pretty rough. But
bad.
Yeah,
you know, what's actually kind of funny is I was going to get I got lunch with a buddy who I haven't seen in a while after work one day. I go down to a local establishment, get some food and a couple beers, and I see a guy walk into the bar, the sports bar, and he has an Oshie jersey on, and he sits down to watch the game. And I can't, I'm like becoming an old man. I can't just like help myself. I walk up to him and I was just kind of like, yeah, what do you think of this series, huh? Like, and we talked for a second. And the second he takes a sip of his beer, he goes, just got off work, want to watch the end of this game. We're both looking at the TV, and Logan Thompson's knee buckles backwards.
Yeah.
And I just go, that doesn't look good, and walk off.
Probably idiot.
It's probably
Except
like,
he said something different than that, but
probably.
All right. So that game was that. They are headed to game 5, 3-1, and then another one headed to game 5, 3-1. The series we all kind of tossed aside before this playoffs even started. The Carolina Devils series. The Devils did win in overtime in game 3 to kind of make it exciting, but the talent and fortitude of Carolina just again overtook in game 4. Freddie Anderson now a big question with his health, but as of now,
wait, Freddie Anderson's got health issues.
Wasn't he hurting? I thought he was.
Oh yeah. That one fella was the backup. Dude, Freddie Anderson cannot stay healthy for.
He cannot.
Operation stay healthy for one series, impossible for Frederick Anderson.
He took he collided with Timo Meyer in the second period of game 4, leading to he had to be replaced by Peter Kochetkov. In Pitor in game in game 4. So Carolina did win this game. I still think that I'm going to give this one 5 at best, just because Carolina just flat out is a better team. So the health of Anderson will matter more, I think, what's coming. But as of right now, his status is uncertain as they prepare for game 5 on Tuesday evening back in Raleigh.
Yeah, that game, that series, I honestly I don't think I've watched very much of it at all, if any. It's like, let's just get to the second round already. But man, Freddie Anderson hurt though. That could be a development for the Canes, dude, because like they need him playing good.
It could significantly change the outcome of that series single-handedly if he is not healthy, and he's been playing great. So yeah, let's hope that he can get healthy and give Carolina his best shot.
100%.
All right, let's answer a few quick questions here real quick. We're going to save some of them so we don't do we have more for later in the week, but I'll just start off with Andreas Castle. He hit me up after the Sullivan news broke, and he said, this is really shocking. Do you think Sully will go to the Rangers?
Probably. What do you think?
I think the Rangers are, if you're the betting favorite, easily, just because I think they're going to throw wads of cash, and that's kind of been like even since their season ended before we knew anything about Sullivan, that was kind of the will they pursue Sullivan if he comes available, blah blah blah. It seems like that is where the momentum is early, so that's where I'm going to say. But I'm going to say the dark horse is Boston, though I don't know how much of a dark horse I would consider that, simply because he's from Boston. But one team I will say to watch out for as a true dark horse would be the Chicago Blackhawks.
I could see that too. You just think if Sullivan wasn't really loving where Pittsburgh was at, the Blackhawks are miles behind where the Penguins are even at.
Yeah, they are.
But if you're Chicago, you want to make a splash. You need to show Connor Bedard that, like,
absolutely,
we're making moves to win here.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Let's switch over to Brian here. Brian said, where was that? He said, I know a lot of fans would like us to take a run for Mitch Marner, but I think there's another Leaf they should have their sights set on with an offer sheet, and that is Matthew Knies.
Oh, Matthew Knies in Pittsburgh. I would do it. Dubas doesn't need to be friends with Toronto.
He doesn't. He really be a villain. He has no reason to be friends with Toronto. And I 100% agree with your stance there that he should try to be the villain. The offer sheet would not be cheap, obviously, but Matthew Knies playing his style of hockey in Pittsburgh with the right head coach. I love the idea of that. That is, to me, that is a perfect fit. But I think they're going to do. I think they're going to do something with RFAs this summer. The Penguins are. It's going to be really interesting to see what exactly they do choose to do.
I think it would be hilarious if the Leafs lost Matthew Knies to some sort of.
Oh gosh, would that be so funny?
and they kind of have some options this offseason with Johnny Toronto's money coming off the books, and Marner. They don't have to sign him if they don't want to, but they're like, we got this Matthew Nyes who looks like he can score 30 and also beat you up, and he also plays in tough game in front of the net. Wouldn't it be funny if they lose in this first round somehow to Ottawa, and then they lose Matthew Nyes, and that would be really poetic.
Matthew Nyes and Mitch Marner gone
to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. All right, let's stick with Brian here. If either of you know how the kid known as Garrett, aka Junior, has been, boy fell off the earth, it seems.
Garrett,
neither of us have.
Yeah, he doesn't respond very often to my Instagram pokings, but basically he's just sending me memes all the time that are way too dark for this podcast. Very disturbing images and
he's a sick man.
He's a very sick man. Someone should check on him. The last thing I got from him was actually I'm looking at it right now. He sent me a meme of a kid who has a computer screen up, and it says, "I'm sick of this flesh prison." So that's where Garrett's mind is.
Is that tame compared to what he sends you usually?
That's very tame. That was shareable. Everything else is
that was shareable. That was the only safe for work content from Garrett that we could share at this moment. So good vibes toward Garrett, because clearly in a dark place.
Brian, you should reach out to Garrett on our behalf and just say we'd like to, have an update on him. Maybe even have him on the pod again and just kind of see if his shin splints ever went away, or if he's actually permanently stuck with those. If he even watches hockey anymore, if he even knows that Mike Sullivan got fired. I don't know. You should reach out to him, because I don't think he doesn't respond to me very often.
Sounds like we need a mediator in this situation. So Brian. Definitely sounds like
it's his job.
But I will do one last one here from Brian before we wrap this episode up. And he says, is there a marketing term that every time you see it, it works on you? Gourmet, craft, small batch. Brian says he's a sucker for them all, and they get him every time.
God, Brian, just easy over there to get wrapped up into marketing.
My goodness, your marketer's wet dream, Brian.
I saw a meme about this, and I kind of feel similarly. I like beer.
Yeah.
Like ice cold, refreshing, and then beer followed by it. Part of me, my ears do perk up, and I say they might have something there. I guess the cliche for me would be if it says that it's vegan, I'd be interested in being like, what are they cooking with over there? Because most food is not vegan, and vegan food, if you're marketing it as vegan, I would like to take a peek at what you're cooking with. What about you, Robbie? What gets you?
I'd say like exclusive or limited supply or something like that. Especially if it's a product that I would enjoy, like a chip flavor would definitely get me going.
Yeah, an exclusive chip flavor does get me buying things.
I know that it's been a while since we've talked about this on the podcast, but the condiments, mustard, we talked about for a while, like a limited release small batch. I guess small batch there too. Mustard that's only made certain times a year. Anything that's like seasonal too. I like seasonal items, like your Oktoberfest beers. I like summer ales, a nice light beer for sitting on the porch during the summer.
Oh yeah.
So like exclusive, seasonal, limited release, something like that. Again, it's just kind of a sucker for that kind of credit to the marketers for getting that done. But yeah, that's definitely something that can definitely hook me in.
Yeah, credit to making something that's just awesome and beloved, and you only make a little bit of it, and so it makes us all want to beat each other up to go get it.
Absolutely.
Or pay ridiculous amounts of money for a fleeting thing. Yeah. I hear you on that one.
All right. So that is pretty much all we got for this episode. We covered Mike Sullivan, out as the Penguins head coach. Checked in on the Stanley Cup playoffs and answered a few mailbag questions. So, later this week. Yeah, handled business today in about an hour, which is pretty
good.
Pretty efficient, but hopefully we could sit down later this week, answer some more mailbag questions, maybe a little more clarity on where things stand with the Penguins head coaching search. Maybe we'll get some little tidbits of information. Maybe we'll find out where Mike Sullivan's going. And then also maybe some series in the Stanley Cup playoffs will be wrapped up by the next time we meet. So maybe Thursday we could sit back down. But that's all I have. Snail, do you have anything that you want to say before we wrap this up?
I do not.
All right. Snail says it's time for dinner. I say it's time for dinner. Everybody, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you later this week.